As we come back to this, and with Washington, D.C. in an extended state of emergency and military lockdown, our senior U.S. correspondent Mike Wagenheim got access to the deputy mayor of D.C. and got more on the situation. Take a look.
Joined here on the eve of the inauguration by the deputy mayor of Washington, D.C., John Falcicchio. Thank you so much for joining us here on what has to be a very busy occasion for you and your staff. You mentioned earlier in the day, I caught it on Twitter, you said it may appear basically that Washington, D.C. is under complete lockdown, and it sure seems that way. We're seeing police, military at basically every street corner. From your point of view, though, it's different. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're on the really the kind of the border of the federal enclave, which the federal enclave and our central business district are about 4.6 square miles. The District of Columbia is 68 square miles. So really that's only about 7% of our whole city. And what we're trying to tell folks is obviously you've got to avoid that federal enclave in these days ahead. But then we're going to open back up, and we have had record numbers of visitors each year before the pandemic, and we know we'll get back to that again soon.
You were on the economic and development side out of the mayor's office. This is a major hit after the events of the of January 6th at the Capitol. So many cancellations, so many people essentially driven out of town, told not to come to town, and what otherwise would be a very rich tourism and economic opportunity for Washington, D.C. Is there an estimate, the dollar amount of what this costs the city and the surrounding area?
Yeah, it'll take us a little bit of time to kind of get an exact figure on that. But what we do know is that in our central business district, it has sort of tightened up. And businesses that are like restaurants have sort of decided it might be better just to close down for these next couple of days. And so we're seeing that. But Mayor Bowser travels the world and trying to bring people to D.C. In fact, she went to Israel because there's a direct flight from Dulles to Tel Aviv. That flight is still going to remain in the weeks ahead. And so we want people to come back, especially when it's safe as we get through the pandemic.
When this security situation, intuitively, it would end after the inauguration tomorrow. Are you getting the sense from the police, from the FBI, from the Secret Service that this is going to start winding down, or are they still going to be on high alert? Are there greater threats out there?
So there is what we call a national special security event, and that is in place right now. Mayor Bowser actually asked for it to start a little bit early so the preparation for the inauguration could happen. That period will end later this week, and so the security will kind of reduce a bit, but our vigilance won't. And so we know that with our federal partners, we have some events ahead that are on our radar. That includes a joint address to Congress that President Biden will do in the coming weeks. We also know that March 4th, which was traditionally years and years ago, the date that U.S. presidents were sworn in, that date is a date that far right is looking to come back to D.C. So all of that is something that has increased our vigilance, and we'll really have a kind of a post-January 6th America that we just have to know that the threat is a domestic threat.
We've seen since the social justice protests of the spring and summer, businesses boarded up around here. There's been so much destruction. There's been a coldness. You combine that with the pandemic. You combine that with the events of January 6th. When in your mind, can this city get back to normal? Not just when the pandemic ends. When can it actually start reviving itself again?
Well, it starts on January 20th when we have a new occupant in the White House. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I can't tell you how excited the District of Columbia is to welcome them. Vice President-elect Harris has been all over the district already. She got her vaccination at one of our hospitals. She's been out to eat. She went to a holiday market with Mayor Bowser. She's been out and about. That excitement is here. We have to do more in this country in order to reach out across party lines to make sure we have a dialogue about the future of the country. But in terms of D.C., if you're here today and you're walking beyond the central business district, you'll see people who are just out having drinks with their friends and out shopping and things like that. So life as normal goes on, but we do have to make sure that we address the immediate threat at the federal enclave.